Hey everyone, this is Kyle Lamont, the founder and host, with a quick update. Concertcast and the production company Good to Go Studios are now part of Vemory, a platform dedicated to gig tripping and concert culture, made for fans who go the distance. You can learn more about Vemory at vemori.live. Here is where you can also subscribe to our new talk show. It's called Concert Chat, and it's the only video podcast reviewing music venues and the performance immediately after the encore, all from a car parked outside the venue. It's a ticket holder tell-all. But now, for the origins of Vemory, Concertcast, the only immersive travel podcast recorded from on the road and inside the music venue. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you out there.
Hi, I'm Kyle Lamont, the host of Concertcast, a podcast about road tripping to America's best music venues. And Season 1 has been a sonic exploration of my home state of Maine. And one of the hardest things about producing each episode is the editing. So, the solution? Mini-casts, bite-sized morsels for your ears. Conversations that didn't make the full-length piece. On this mini-cast, we're in Cherryfield, Maine, chatting with Chris Riley, an avid birder. Maine's musical terrain is rich with natural noises, waves, wind, and songs, bird songs. My first word ever spoken was bird. Really. I mean, my mom just told me that as I was writing this episode. Sort of cool, right? But it's not like I grew up an avid birder or anything like that. But I definitely stop everything when I see a falcon or a hawk swoop from the trees. And it's quite fun to watch our resident bald eagle I've named Bruiser fish for dinner. But nothing makes me more happy than seeing a blue heron perched on the pier, delighting in sunset, or listening to loons call out for their loved ones. Birds are everywhere, which means there are lots of birders too. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service estimated back in 2016 that there are 47 million birders, and the more active away-from-home birders generated close to $107 billion in travel and gear. I mean, that's cuckoo, right? While wandering the woods in Maine, our biggest music venue, if you will, I love hearing a bird sing. I admit I don't know who is singing or why, but it gives me great joy. And much like a band or a genre of music, birds sound different everywhere you travel.
I was just reading the other day that a cardinal down south actually sings. It's the same song, but it's like really different than one that's here. They play like more jazzy down south, but up here, like in the Northeast, they play like more bluegrassy.
That's Chris Riley. He graduated from the University of Maine at Machias with a degree in avian ecology and conservation biology.
Machias is like some of the best birding in the country, you know, between warblers and shorebirds, ducks. When I was in college, I did more driving and birding than I probably did schoolwork, you know. I was like, I'd rather be out there driving around trying to find these birds. And when they come back in the spring, like, you get like your palm warblers first, and then your yellow rumps and magnolia warblers. Especially here, it's like deafening. I mean, if you're out at 4 o'clock in the morning waiting for sunrise on a hot, nice day in Washington County, it is crazy. Like, most people have a hard time distinguishing how many birds are singing at one moment, because it seems like one bird's singing like a crazy song, but it's actually like 60 different birds singing at once, you know? It is crazy around here. And it's partly because we have so many bugs. The mosquitoes and the black flies are ruthless, but that's what the warblers eat.
He worked with the Fish and Wildlife for years as a bird researcher, and now works as a full-time mason.
I used to talk about birds all the time, but I don't as much because I think my friends got annoyed with me. They were like, cool, Riley, another bird.
Describe that feeling you get when seeing a bird or hearing a bird.
It's almost like the dog where your tail goes up. It's like my eyes focus right to where I think it is.
He lives off the grid on Sprague's Falls Road in Cherryfield, Maine, in a cabin that's powered by solar. In the summertime, it's easy to spot his house from the road. Just look for rows of sunflowers that he grows. And he in many ways is sort of like a sunflower, tall, blonde, with a beaming smile. And Sprague's Falls Road, might I add, is a very cool community.
Not just like your community of people that you see once in a while, but our friends that we all get together like once a week and play game night. And there's like 20 of us now. I mean, there's so many of us who've moved to the road. So we're on a dead end street. A lot of dirty old hippies used to be. And now we've kind of taken it over.
What types of birds would you say people who live on Sprague's Falls Road are most like?
We're kind of like terns, like they're communal birds. And I'm a communal person, definitely. Like, as much as I like to think I'm a hermit sometimes, I still need my friends and my other, like, family, I guess. Common terns, Arctic terns, and roseate terns nest on the outer islands here. And, like, Petite Manane, I think, has, like, 3,000 breeding pairs. And they all nest on, like, a 10-acre island. So they're all breeding in this tiny little area. And I'm not breeding, but I definitely like having all my similar friends close by.
I met Riley through Emma Temme of Maven, who is his neighbor, and was fascinated by how much he knew about birds. So my plan for the interview was to go birding alongside the Narraguagus River, which runs through town. But it was just too damn cold out. So instead, we fire up his wood stove and watch chickadees eat from a huge bird feeder that stands outside his window.
And they're the black-capped chickadees, so they're like these tiny little fuzzballs because they always seem puffy, or maybe they're just fat. But they're like black and white, just black and white too, because we do have boreal chickadees up in northern Maine, but they have like brown streaking on their sides instead of all white on their belly.
What does a chickadee sound like?
He's the one who's cheeseburger.
Riley is referencing the phonetic transliterations or mnemonic jingles that are used to identify birds and or describe their chirp notes.
For me, a lot of it is like I hear it and then I actually try and come up with the phonetic. I think that's how you say that, which is like the words that say, like, so a chestnut-sided warbler says, please, please, please to meet you. Please, please, please to meet you. And like that just clicks in my head when I hear it. I'm like, oh, chestnut-sided warblers are back, Black-throated green warblers is, I am black and green. Or trees, trees, beautiful trees. Which is a black-throated green warbler. And you hear tons of them here. So they like, once you start hearing them, my brain just connects right to it now. But even every spring, like I have to listen. I have all these old tapes that are on a mini disc. And every spring I listen to them. Because even if you're the best birder in the world, you still have to listen to the birding over, the bird song.
So bird songs is your way of recognizing what type of bird it is?
Yeah, because once you hear that, the different variation in notes and stuff, because I was never into music. I mean, I'm really into music, like listening to music, but I never had any musical talent. So I feel like a person who does have musical talent would probably be even a better birder because they could distinguish different notes, which I've never learned that. But most of the good birders I know, none of them have musical talent. But that might just be because we're all nerds. And we weren't the cool kid playing the guitar in college.
Birds have 12 different songs.
There's alarm calls. There's one just to tell your spouse like where you are, or other birds where you are. And then there's like, not fight, but like get the heck out of here, fight or flight. But yeah, birds sing, they have a lot of different things, not just their song, but a lot of those chip notes I never got very well. My ear just doesn't pick. I can hear them, but I can't distinguish between, that's a chestnut-sided warbler, unless it sings its actual song, which is all for breeding. You know, most birds are singing when they're breeding and they're setting up their territories and attracting a mate. You know, the males are singing the best song they can so that the female, you know, wants to be with the male because he sings the best song. Or he sings it the best. It's thought that some birds just sing for fun, you know, like it's not necessarily always for, I mean, not that we know that, but it is thought that birds actually sing just for their own enjoyment of it. And it is, like you said, like when you see a bird at the top of the tree and it's like beaks just going like this, and you're like, that little bird, it almost looks like they're lip syncing.
What birds do people believe sing for fun?
I think it's a wren. They make like a crazy, it's like, it's like a super loud. And like a winter wren, which we have a lot around here. They're like one of the smallest birds we have around here probably, but they were like one of the loudest song for a small little bird. Obnoxious sound almost. And it's cool for like the first time you hear it, but then it's like constantly in your ear. You're like, all right, can that guy, because like it's hard to tune him out when you're in the woods. And there's a winter wren singing who's like way louder than all these other birds that are singing. You have to kind of tune the winter wren out so you can hear the Tennessee warbler or the Canada warbler singing in the background because he's so loud. Birds have, instead of a larynx, they have a syrinx. So there's like two airflow pieces that come up into the like our larynx, but they have two that come up into their syrinx, and they can actually like close off one side and sing out of one side alone, and then like breathe through the other side while still singing. So they can like constantly sing, some birds, because they can take in air through the other side. Or they can sing two songs at the same time because there's, well, not two songs, but two sounds. Because the right side will sing one thing and then the other side will be doing something else. It's kind of crazy that they like have developed that over the years. And birds are reptiles. Did you know that?
Would that help explain why water birds can withstand colder temperatures?
My dad was just asking me that the other day on the phone. He's like, how can their little tiny legs not freeze? And I was like, part of it is their metabolism is so fast. Their metabolism's like, I don't know how much faster than ours, but it's ridiculously fast. And that's how they stay warm. And they poof up. You see them like in the feeder all poofed out. And that's because they're like radiating, trying to stay warm and creating insulation, like the air spaces in between, just like we do in the house.
Why does a loon's call sound so different compared to birds who live in the woods?
Well, a loon or any bird that's on like a lake or something like that, that's like an open area, has a way different song or call than like a bird in the trees. It's not as resonating, it's higher pitched for like a songbird, while like a loon has that deep resonating so that it can expand 200 meters, you know, which I think is like about the max of most birds' sound. And the same thing with like a bird that like nests, like a bobolink that nests in a field, like something open like that. They need even something else like higher pitch resonating, even though like a loon's on the water, so it's like a deep resonation that spreads out. It's all about how far you can spread your call in the habitat that you live in.
So, what is your favorite bird song?
The bittern, which is like, and they like make it deep in there. And it's like a loon. They're in like wetland areas, so they're resonating that sound. Yeah, it sounds like if you like had the microphone up to like a drop of water, like dropping into, that's what the bittern sounds like. And they're like as big as a heron. And they like blend in so well. Like they stand there with their heads straight up, with their beaks straight up, so they blend in with like the marsh reeds or whatever.
If you were putting a bird band together, Riley, what would your lineup be?
It would be the hermit thrush. He might be the guitarist, probably. He would keep it all together. Really hard to mimic. It sounds like you're in like a magical wonderland and someone's like hitting something with a wand. And then it would be the bittern as my basis. And then the golden crown kinglet. I think he'd be a backup singer. And then it would be the chestnut-sided warbler, who's just one of my favorite in general. And that would be my singer, I think.
And what would the name of your bird band be?
Birdbrains. In this spring, we had prairie warblers down on Pigeon Hill Road. And someone said they heard them there. And I was like, no way. I was like, I don't believe it. But then once you hear it and see the bird at the same time, it's so... Because just hearing it sometimes, you're like, I know that's, a chestnut-sided warbler, but it's pretty rare you get to see a lot of these little birds because you could be searching for hours. You can hear them singing and they're there. But to find them is like, oh yeah, but the prairie warbler. So then we went down there, and we're way out of there, or not way out, but 100 miles north of their range. And there they were in this little scrub, old clear cut on the tops of the trees. There was like 6 of them. And they were all just singing away at the tops of the trees.
Would you say that birding is cool because it allows you to get off the beaten path?
Yeah, you get to go to places most people don't drive to. We used to go out into the mud flats and drive all the way through the mud flats to shorebird. You still can do it up by Cook's Cannery. Yeah, you get to go to all these cool spots. You go down all these dirt roads that most people aren't, like the Burn Road up in Topsfield, which is like famous around here for like ladderback woodpeckers and blackback woodpeckers.
And I think we can all relate to that moment of connection when you're privy to an intimate concert in the woods.
Yeah, especially when you're just watching the bird and you just don't stop, especially if it's something rare. Like, we used to get Barrow's golden eyes, and it'd be like 0 degrees out. And me and Barry would be like outside the car with our spotting scopes, just watching this bird for as long as we could before it flew away, because you might never see another.
According to Bob Duchenne, the vice president of Maine's Audubon chapter in Penobscot Valley, and who developed the Maine Birding Trail, there are a few differences between being a birder and a bird watcher. A few are, if you have binoculars, you are a bird watcher. If you have binoculars that cost more than your monthly mortgage, you're a birder. If you notice birds while traveling, you're a bird watcher. If you travel to see birds, you're a birder. If you drive to see a rare bird in Maine, you're a birder. He says that over time, even the most casual bird watcher gets better at identifying birds. But birders are continuously working to improve their skills. They go on walks, field trips, and tours. They learn from experts. They read. They practice. As we watch the chickadees devour seeds, fly away, chirp, and be merry, out of nowhere, a blue jay and then a gold-headed finch join, and we go crazy for the moment. Riley is by definition a true birder, but I, on the other hand, am a bird watcher. But one thing we have in common: birds make us both sing for joy. To hear full-length episodes on Down East Maine's live music scene, subscribe to ConcertCast on your podcast app of choice and type in concertcast.live to build your own music-centric itinerary and to learn how you can be part of the show. And find us on Spotify to download a Maine music playlist. Mark Tuckashan is our resident mastermind, and Peter McGill is our editor and engineer. Special thanks to Chris Riley, and to Pepper Little, Amy Charlie, Abby Rock Jessamine, Corey Chandler, Emma Temmie, Eddie Contento, Jesse Kudo, and thank you for listening.